On a chilly April night in 1981, the sleepy town of Keddie, California, nestled in the Sierra Nevada mountains, became the setting for one of the most brutal and perplexing murder mysteries in American history. What transpired in cabin number 28 of the Keddie Resort would haunt investigators and locals for decades to come. What's going on, Midnight Mafia? First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everybody for all the prayers. They were heard. I really appreciate it. And my mom had a successful surgery, and just, the prayers, I was really stressed, and that's why a video didn't come out last week. Thank you guys so much. Also, if you're just bored right now, or you have nothing in this world to do, just like this video. It would mean so much to me. We need to get this video liked a lot, maybe even some shares out there. Also, if you haven't checked out my new channel, Shadows in the Wild, it will be in the description below, and the third video will be coming out in 2 days on Sunday, and it's a good one. Lastly, if you guys haven't checked out my Patreon yet, check it out right now. You get discounts on merchandise and a bunch of stuff. And talking about the merchandise, I actually got a code going right now. I think it's on the website. It's like Summer MRE 15 or MRE Summer 15. It's at the top of the website. Everything is 15% off, so go check out the cool new designs now. I just got one of my hoodies, and I'm gonna wear that for you next time. And also, for those of you that might think my face is absolutely hideous and you just want to listen to the pure blissful sound of my voice, well, guess what? You're in luck. As of now, Mystery Files has a podcast, and we are on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and soon to be all the other players as well. I have all three of those descriptions in the description, URLs in the description, whether it's Spotify, Amazon, Apple. You know what I mean. Anyway, that's enough ado. That was a lot of ado, wasn't it? Alright, so no more ado. As of now, it's time to slip into a mind that's not our own. Let's go. This story starts out with Sue Sharp, who was a 36-year-old mother of 5 when she moved her family to this remote cabin in Keddie, California, nestled right in the Sierra Nevada mountains, because she sought a fresh start after separating from her husband, unaware that this, new beginning would soon spiral into a nightmare beyond imagination. And as the sun set on April 11th, 1981, Sue settled in for a quiet evening at home with her youngest sons, Rick and Greg, along with their friend, Justin Smart. Now, her older daughter, Sheila, had plans to spend the night at a neighbor's house. It seemed like any other just ordinary night in their modest cabin. But that night, something sinister was lurking right in the shadows of Keddie. Because the next morning, Sheila returned home eager, just to see her family. And as she opened up the front door slightly, she just noticed that something was off. And she was met with this scene that was so horrific that it would be seared into her memory forever. Because right there in the living room, lay the brutalized bodies of her mother, Sue, her brother John, and John's friend, Dana Wingate. And it was terrifying because the victims had been bound with medical tape and electrical cords, and their bodies, bared the marks of these frenzied attacks. Not to mention, there was also 2 bloody knives and a hammer that were found at the scene, silent witnesses to the savagery that had been unfolded. But the horror did not end there. As investigators started combing through this cabin, they made a chilling discovery. Sue's 12-year-old daughter, Tina, was missing. This quiet mountain town was thrown into a frenzy of fear and suspicion. How could such a violent crime occur without anyone hearing or seeing literally anything? And yet there was no Tina. So as the detectives of the case dug a little bit deeper, they uncovered a web of conflicting testimonies and a bunch of bizarre clues. To start, Justin Smart, the young friend who had been, staying in the house that night, offered inconsistent accounts of what he had personally seen. So to get the truth out of him, they suggested, why don't you go under hypnosis? So he did. And under hypnosis, he claimed to have witnessed Sue with 2 unknown men. A detail that led to the drawing of 2 composite sketches that would become infamous in the case. But why would these mysterious assailants spare the lives of the younger children in the house? And how did they manage to overpower the 3 adults without alerting any neighbors? The investigation took a strange turn when Martin Smart, a neighbor and father of Justin, of course, claimed that a claw hammer had inexplicably gone missing from his house right around the time of the murders. Now, this seemingly innocuous detail would prove to be a crucial piece of the puzzle, but its significance wouldn't be fully understood for years to come. So now, as weeks turned into months and months turned into years, the case eventually grew cold. And the residents of Keddie lived in fear, wondering that if a killer or killers might still be in their midst. The resort itself became a complete ghost town, with tourists that were avoiding the area and locals that were even moving far away. But then, 3 years later, in 1984, a breakthrough came that only deepened the mystery. You see, there was this gentleman that was in the woods, and he was searching the woods because he was a bottle collector. So he's at the woods near Feather Falls in the neighboring Butte County, and he made this horrible, grisly discovery. And what he saw when he was, out there just trying to collect bottles was human remains that would later be identified those of young Tina Sharp. And yes, the finding of Tina's remains, while providing some closure to the family, opened a whole new avenue of questions. Why was her body found so far away from Keddie? And why had it taken 3 years for her remains to be discovered? So as the case just languished, theories were abundant. Some speculated there were these sparse drug connections, while others whispered about these ritualistic killings. But Sheriff Doug Thomas was quickly to shut down these rumors, stating that no drug paraphernalia or illegal substances were found in the Sharp home. And as the years just ticked by, the murders at Keddie became the stuff of legend, the stuff that 15-year-olds by a campfire drinking in the middle of the night would tell their friends to try and scare them. And like any local legend, it became a dark stain on the history of this once peaceful mountain community. Cabin number 28, the site of these gruesome killings, stood as a grim reminder of that fateful night until it was finally demolished in 2004. But the story didn't end there. In fact, it's about to take a startling turn. Fast forward to 2013, a new team of investigators led by Special Investigator Mike Gamberg decided, to take a fresh look at the cold case, as so many, special investigators do. They wait a decade or two and then they open up a case. And as they were just combing through this old evidence of boxes, they made a series of shocking discoveries that would breathe new life into the investigation. First, they found an old tape recording at the bottom of the evidence box. An anonymous call made shortly after Tina's remains were discovered, and identifying them as belonging to the missing girl. How had this crucial piece of evidence been overlooked for so long? So as Gamberg and his team dug a little bit deeper, they uncovered more damning evidence against Smart. So a counselor whom Martin Smart regularly visited alleged that he had admitted to the murders of Sue and Tina, claiming that he had killed the young girl because she had witnessed the whole thing. But the investigation took another unexpected turn when Gamberg discovered a letter written by Martin Smart to his wife Marilyn shortly after the murders. And the contents of this letter would send shockwaves through the whole investigation team. In the letter, Smart ruminated on the personal struggles in their marriage. The couple had been having problems and the tension between them was building for some time. But it was the chilling conclusion of the letter that left investigators just stunned, because Smart wrote, quote,
"I've paid the price of your love, and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives."
How was this evidence overlooked? Are you kidding me? This haunting confession had been inexplicably overlooked in the initial investigation. I mean, how could such a crucial piece of evidence have been missed? The oversight spoke volumes about the mishandling of the case in its very early stages. But like any twisted and unsolved mystery, this one had another twist the size of a pretzel. Because just when you think you've figured it out, you realize there's way more to the story. Because you see, Martin Smart wasn't the only person of interest in this perplexing tale. Investigators also turned their attention to Jean Boubaid, a man with alleged ties to the Mafia in Chicago. And Boubaid had been staying with the Smarts around the time of the murders, adding another layer of complexity to this case. Boubaid's, criminal background and then sudden departure from Keddie shortly right after the murders raised a lot of red flags. Could he have been an accomplice? Or perhaps he was the mastermind behind all of the gruesome killings himself? Well, in 2016, another breakthrough came when a hammer matching the description of the one that Smart claimed to have lost was discovered in a local pond. Sheriff Hagwood at that time stated the location that it was found, it would have been intentionally put there. It would not have been accidentally misplaced in this area. And the final piece of the puzzle seemed to fall right into place in 2018 when Gamberg announced that DNA evidence recovered from a piece of tape at the crime scene matched that of a known living suspect. And hope surged that the case might finally be solved. But just as answers appear within reach, a cruel twist of fate intervened. You see, John Boubaid had died in Chicago in 1988, taking whatever secrets he might have had to the grave. And Martin Smart too had passed away in the year 2000, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. The Keddie murders, it seemed, were determined to keep some of their secrets. And while the evidence pointed strongly towards Smart and the possibility of Boubaid, the full truth of what happened that night in cabin number 28 might never be fully known. And if DNA was really recovered from the crime scene from a piece of tape in 2018, after one suspect had been dead for 18 years and the other one had been dead for 20 years, why not tell the public who it was? See, now I got you thinking about this even more, right? Unless, that person is still alive and authorities, don't want him to run. I mean, that's the only explanation I can think of. Unless you can think of a better one, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. Midnight Mafia tries to solve crimes. We're not just a storytelling channel. But as the investigation continued, the town of Keddie grappled with the weight of this unresolved tragedy. The cabin where murders took place was demolished in 2004, but the memories of that horrific night still linger. So I would say, this case serves as a terrifying reminder. The dark secrets that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic communities. It's a tale of justice delayed and possibly denied, of lives shattered, and a community forever changed for the worse. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the Keddie murders is the question that it leaves us with. How many other cold cases are there out there, waiting just for a fresh set of eyes to uncover some crucial evidence? How many killers walk free due to the overlooked clues or mishandled investigations? In the end, we're left to wonder, will the full truth of what happened in cabin 28 ever come to light? Or will the Keddie murders remain one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries? Well, as the sun sets now over the Sierra Nevada mountains, where so many missing person cases and unsolved mysteries seem to occur, casting long shadows over the former site of the Keddie Resort, one can almost hear the whispers of the past. And they serve as a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't the stuff of nightmares, but the seemingly ordinary people that are living right next door. Seriously, imagine if right when you heard that, you got a knock at the door wherever you are in this crazy world. I mean, that, my friends, would be a moment in time that would live in infamy. Now, even though this was a chilling unsolved mystery that I hope one day will be solved, there's another mystery. One about a man who was found in literally the most impossible spot you could ever imagine. The answer to how we got there is in this story right here. So make sure to click on it and check it out right now. That's all I got for you guys today. Cheers.